Alright, hello. Forgive my not so professional appearance today, but it's very hot in my country, in my city, and in my room. So this is how I'm going to look this video. But as you can tell, I've not posted in a while. I did lose some weight, which is a plus. I'm still going to the gym and all that. I'm trying to lose a little bit more weight this summer. But let's get into the actual topic of this video, which is career. So I wanted to kind of tell my story of where I actually started in terms of career and how I ended up as a risk and anti-fraud agent. I am going to skip a little in terms of the starting couple positions because they were a little bit boring. But to fast track it, basically in 2018, I started my first job. I worked in a tech store. I worked for a couple months. Then I switched to a different company. I stayed in that company for about a year. I did move to a GameStop adjacent type of store here in Bulgaria, and I did have some success there. However, even COVID hit at that time, so there weren't many clients in there, so I felt like I was wasting my time during the day because I'd get like maybe 5 or 6 people in the mall, and most of them would just like get inside the shop and just buy a specific thing, or just look around and go home because they're just so bored from staying at home. Um, yeah, that was the time where I worked about 10 to 12 hours a day, and I usually get so bored that I'd start watching movies at work, which was completely fine by everyone since there was no clients anyway. And one of these days I decided to try my luck at getting a corporate type of job. My sister happened to be working in one, and she said, why not try to join my company? It's like a forex trading company. And that's how I put in my resume and got an interview for a customer support position. So that's about 2020 or 2021. I did get the job. I worked there for, I believe, 2 years. I expected to work there for 1 year since that's how much I usually worked in previous places. Just because, as most people know, if you work at one place and you wait for a raise, maybe you get this much raise. But if you actually move to a different company, your raise is like this much because it's a different company, and it's way easier to get a better pay in a different company. So I ended up staying there for 2 years, and I did meet my girlfriend at that time. Now she's my fiance, but we did meet each other and decide to start living together. So I just told my team leader at the time, hey, I really need a better salary. I'm thinking about quitting. I have a different place in mind. And she said that she could try to bump up my raise a little bit more than usual. She tried her best, but basically at that time it was not sufficient for the lifestyle that I was going to get. So from there on, I actually ended up moving into another support position, but in a different company, also in a different field. Their field is fintech, so that's financial technologies. And essentially, the company was valued at $8 billion or something at that time. So I felt like that was a huge move. I ended up getting the position of customer support. It was leaning towards like the security of the clients of the company, since the company does work with some businesses, basically providing financial processing services. And the issues that I would frequently deal with were related to maybe people getting their profile hacked into, or getting some unauthorized payments, some things like that. And I do usually treat customer support as a type of a stepping stone position. So that's how I treated this one too. I did do my best to do my job as well as I could, but at the same time, I did play around a little bit more, and I believe that's how I ended up actually getting the risk and fraud position, risk and anti-fraud to be exact. So I would play around and see where my scope is and where I hit the actual walls of the risk and anti-fraud team. So maybe I have all this space over here to play around with and figure out what I actually want to do, and if the job that they're doing is interesting to me. So that's what I ended up doing. To give an example of what that looks like, it's basically, let's say I give a case to the risk and anti-fraud team, and they're like, well, since there's no client assigned to this case, I am not able to find the information in our systems. So I decided to say, hey, I'm going to try to find this information myself and just pass it to them so they can, we could both save time and actually give an answer to this client. And more often than not, I would be able to find the information that they weren't able to find in their systems. So since I had access to the same systems basically for the purposes of my job, but perhaps I made some people look a little bit worse than they actually are performing. But thanks to that, I was able to get a little bit of an advantage when I saw that there was a risk and anti-fraud agent position open in my company. And I ended up applying, and they decided to take me in. So I am going to go into a little bit more detail of how a customer support agent is able to actually pivot and go into risk and anti-fraud if that's their interest to begin with. But I'm currently working as an risk and anti-fraud agent as well, and I was able to make a lateral move to a different product in the company as well. So from here on, I have a little bit more, I wouldn't say authority, but I do have more scope that I could play around in and actually build onto something. So that's what I've decided to do, and you could follow into my journey as well, or hopefully if you are someone that's working customer support and you're interested in joining this this position that I'm currently working at, I'm happy to help you out with some ideas on how you could potentially get a better chance at your interviews, or what needs to change in your mindset to be able to actually become a risk and anti-fraud agent or analyst, as some people say. Because the other thing that I will just shortly mention this, but I could make a video about this because it's a lengthy topic. But the mindset of a customer support or customer service position and the mental of a risk and anti-fraud analyst position is something that's a little bit like night and day, because the way that you're working with the customers that your company is actually serving is almost entirely different. What that means is the customer support agents would most of the time prioritize keeping the client happy and solving their issues, while on the other side, the priority is the safety and the trustworthiness of the company compared to the actual client that we're serving. So the client themselves may be committing fraud, so that's a roadblock for most people that are working customer support, since they don't have the tools or the mindset to actually determine the person that they're speaking to, whether or not they are a fraudulent person, or whether they're committing fraud or being a victim of a fraud. It's very, very different to put your customer support perspective into a risk and anti-fraud position. So the thing is, if you end up getting a risk and anti-fraud position as a customer support, most likely what your experience is very jarring, to the point where like you would feel like your core personality needs to change in order to actually fit this job. But what I did was smoothly transition into the risk and anti-fraud mindset way before I actually got the position. So that's something that can really accelerate your career, essentially, your path to a risk and anti-fraud analyst. So let me know if this is interesting to you. Let me know if you're working as a customer support right now and you're looking to get into a different position, whether it's risk and anti-fraud or something else. I'd be happy to help you with whatever I can. Just leave a comment and yeah, I'll respond to that and let you know what my advice would be. I am thinking of also opening, depending on the interest that's shown in this video, I could open like a one-to-one session type of thing or a closed community for people trying to get rid of customer support hell, basically, where I've seen in my life colleagues from previous jobs that have been working in customer support for 5+ years, and I can tell you once year 1 or 2 passes, they're completely done with that position. They don't want to hear a client on the phone ever again, or they don't want to speak or interact with a client in that, serving type of position ever again. And they just end up being stuck in customer support instead, either due to fear of losing security or due to fear of not being enough to actually like work a different position. So let me know what your biggest roadblocks could be right now. What you think is the biggest roadblock to moving away from a customer support position, and I'll try to help out. If you enjoyed the video, hit a like, subscribe. I'll post more into this topic as well. So I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.